Have you ever wanted to join the Navy? In this video I'll show you how to paint the Imperial Navy Breacher team across 4 models to give you all the tools you need to get them on the tabletop. There's lots of different elements to these models, so let's get painting. The first thing I've done is prime all the models with Mechanicus grey spray, and it's really important that you leave off any parts that are going to make it really difficult to paint. We'll start with all the black areas first, and the colour I'm using for this is Black Templar contrast paint. Now I'm using this because it flows really easily, so I can quickly cover all the areas I need to, and it'll give me a little bit of a highlight. So I'm looking at all the seals on the void suit, I'm looking for those Imperial Navy eyes, I'm also looking for any gun casing, weapon casing and leather pouches. This is a really quick step. Next we'll base all of the uniform and those long coats, and the colour we can use this is Leviadon Blue contrast paint. Again, for the same reasons we use Black Templar, it flows really easily and will really give you nice coverage, taking advantage of a little bit of automatic highlighting from the primer coat underneath. We'll get onto the metallics next, and the first colour we're going to use is Runelord Brass. We're going to use this for all of the armour elements such as those gravity boots, as well as the shoulder pads and chest pieces and helmets. So just take your time with this and be careful not to get it on parts you've already done. We'll paint in the silver details, and we're going to use Leadbelcher for this. And again, I'm just focusing on those areas that need it, such as the mechanical parts of the gun. We've got the bottom parts of those gravity boots and any other areas where you think you need some silver. So again, take your time and try not to get it on those areas you've already done. Now we'll bring those metallics to life. Firstly, we're going to coat both the Runelord Brass and the Leadbelcher using Nuln Oil. So just work this all over. Don't worry about being too tidy. If you do get this anywhere else, it's okay. It'll blend in nicely. Once that's completely dry, we'll then take some Agrax Earthshade and paint this over those Runelord Brass areas only. This will start to add a little bit of a ready tint back in, and this will really make that armour stand out. To start the highlighting, we're going to use Canoptek Alloy, which is a nice bright silvery brass colour, and we're going to use this to edge highlight all of those Runelord Brass areas on the armour, such as the cuffs, the boot, the shoulder pads and also the helmets as well. So just take your time with this, and we're looking to catch any edges where we can. When it comes to that big massive shield, this is really easy to do. Just make sure you've got a little bit on your brush and drag it along those sharp edges. We'll use Chrome from Vallejo Model Air or Stormhost Silver from Citadel, and what we're looking to do is highlight all of the silver areas. We just need to take our time and make sure we catch any raised edges, and we can also do the centre part of the Imperial Navy iconography as well. With those metallics done, we can go back in with some Black Templar and just tidy up any of those Imperial Navy eyes that we need to get done. So just take your time with this and make sure that you don't spill any onto those areas we've already finished. Next up, we'll paint all those bright white parts, such as the trims of the coats and also those visor rims of the helmet. The colour we're going to use for this is Celestra Grey, and it's really important that we work this into the visor area as well, because we'll use contrast paint for a really quick, effective technique in a moment. We also want to paint the Aquila on the Sergeant at Arms. Just take your time with this because it can be a little bit of an awkward part to do. To layer up that brightness, we'll then take some Ulthuan Grey and use this to just build up to a much brighter colour on the visor and those trims of the jackets. When it comes to the trim of the jackets, we're looking to leave that Celestra Grey in the recesses, and similarly with the visor, we're looking to leave a small line of Celestra Grey there as well. Finally, we'll highlight those most raised areas using bold titanium white or any white paint that you prefer. And what we're looking to do now is just catch those either sharp edges or raised folds. When it comes to the visors, we're looking to catch nice sharp edges, as well as painting the entirety of the lenses in this bright white colour as well. To paint those visors, we'll do it really easy and really quickly. We're going to take some Gryph Hound orange contrast paint and just paint this into that lens area. If you need to tidy up with some white afterwards, that's okay. We'll highlight all of those uniforms next, and the first colour we're going to use is Kantor Blue, and we're looking to just add a chunky highlight really to all those folds and raised areas on the uniform, so you can work through this fairly quickly. Just take your time around those areas you've already finished, but once you've done this first step, you'll see that you're starting to get a really nice blue colour coming out. We'll add another highlight of Alaitoc Blue, and this time we're trying to focus this inside that chunky Kantor Blue highlight, because this will give the impression that it's nice and sharp and a little more blended from a distance. So just take your time with this, and remember, we're trying to make it nice and thin inside that Kantor Blue. I went one step further with my highlights using some Hoeth Blue, again trying to focus this inside the Alaitoc Blue, and this will really make that uniform pop. You don't have to do this, but like I said, for me, I really felt it needed that extra level of highlighting. With the uniform highlighted, it's time to tie up some loose ends. So the first thing I did was take some Sigvald Burgundy and use this to paint the grip on the Master-at-Arms' power sword. Next up, I took some Mephiston Red and used this to paint all of the tubes and cabling that we've got connecting the different parts of Void Armour. And lastly, I took some Mechanicus Standard Grey and used this to give that black a little bit of an extra punchy highlight. Now this is optional because there is a slight highlight there, but I just felt I needed a little bit extra, so all I did was make sure I had a little bit on my brush, good tip, and use the shape of the model to drag along those sharp edges. Next up, I decided to paint the skin of the Master-at-Arms, so I took some Cadian Fleshtone and based all of the face. Once that was dry, I took some Reikland Fleshshade and used this to work into all of those recesses. When that was completely dry, I went back to Cadian Fleshtone to just pick out the most raised areas such as the nose, the cheekbones and the brow. And then just to make it pop a little bit, I took some Kislev Flesh and again focused on those most raised areas to give a little bit of lightness to the flesh areas. To base the hair on the sergeant and the wooden handle of the axe, I took some Agrax Earthshade contrast paint. When that was dry, I then used some Gawthor Brown to paint in that wood grain and also catch all the raised strands of hair to give a little nice highlight effect on the sergeant's head. The last thing I need to show you is that blast vest on the happy little grenadier, and we're going to start this off by base coating the entire thing using Dawnstone. When that's dry, we'll shade it with Nuln Oil. Now I'm using the new Nuln Oil, which flows into those recesses really quite nicely and gives me the shading I want on this. If you have the old one, just thin it down a bit. When that's totally dry, I'll go back to Dawnstone and just highlight back up in those brightest areas using the darker colours in the recesses. Finally, I'll take some Administratum Grey and use this to paint the raised edges in any areas that need a little bit of highlighting. Nice and easy. And there we go. You will now have all the tools you need to paint your Imperial Navy Breacher team. You should be able to get them done in no time at all. A huge thank you to all my patrons who make this channel possible. You can support me for just a small amount using the link in the description. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, check out my other content. I'll see you next time.